and welcome to this week's What's Hot, in a week that's dominated by big supermarkets, fashion retailers and online estate agents. Well, let's go straight to Wednesday when we will get interims from Tesco. Now, I'm going to quote some observations from the analysts at IG who say that Tesco's outlook is clouded by difficult comparatives with last year's strong performance. 2018, it says, was a warm year, while this summer had just some pockets of warm weather, and because of that, overall sales performance is not likely to be as strong. Analysts at IG say the message will be very much steady as she goes. Well, as the Mail on Sunday's Neil Craven says, it's hard to believe that it's exactly 5 years since Tesco Chief Executive Dave Lewis alerted the city to a black hole in the supermarket's accounts. But Lewis, says Craven, must also take credit for one of the biggest turnaround jobs the retail sector has ever seen. Well, staying with retail, and Ted Baker releases its interims on Thursday, and I'm going to stick with the writer Neil Craven because it was he who alerted to us way back in July that Ted Baker founder Ray Hugger Kelvin was considering making a swoop on the business that he left under a huggy cloud in March. Fashion market sources gossiping that the 63-year-old had indicated he is prepared to throw his significant shareholding, more than a third of the company, behind a buyout that would take the business private and leave the existing management in charge. Of course, such a deal would result in Ted Baker disappearing from the London Stock Exchange for the first time in more than 2 decades. Now, just 2 weeks ago, the company announced the appointment of a new Chief Financial Officer, Rachel Osborne. Her pedigree is substantial. She's currently the CFO at Debenhams and before that, Domino's Pizza. Okay, to Thursday now, and prepare for a very noisy AGM for Purplebricks. Now, the online estate agent is braced for an investor revolt over bonuses. Now, the shareholder advisory service ISS has urged investors to vote against Purplebricks' financial statements at its AGM, saying bosses' incentive awards are not subject to any performance hurdles. Now, a Purplebricks source has countered that, saying it needs to attract and retain the appropriate calibre of individual and that its executives were not especially well paid. Well, former Chief Executive Michael Bruce received £273,000 last year, and remember, he was ousted in May. Well, investors in Purplebricks include beleaguered fund manager Neil Woodford, who is selling down his stake in the business. Now, remember coal bed methane producer Green Dragon Gas, which was once listed here in the UK? Well, there could be a proverbial IPO Phoenix with a potential IPO listing in Hong Kong. That's just one of the nuggets in Randeep Grewal's exclusive interview with Donald on the lse.co.uk website. Well, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. See you next week. Boris, I've told you, leave my inner thigh alone. Get back to the conference.